Hello everybody, in this video, we will be talking about the 2022 U.S. gubernatorial elections instead of the 2024 presidential elections. Just tried to change it up. Maybe you weren't feeling the 2024 election predictions lately. I know I haven't. So, it'll be nice to switch it up. So, let's see where this goes. So, states like California won't be switching. Sure, Gavin Newsom had a recall, but he won by such a large margin that it shows that this is still a Democratic state. It's not moving anywhere. There will be a few states like that. Hawaii will be like that. It's not switching. The governor of Illinois is a bit tougher for me because the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, I believe how you pronounce his name. Here it is. Yep, J.B. Pritzker. He's very unpopular. Most people from Illinois just don't think that he's doing a good job. We go back to October and late September. Polls were saying that it was going to be solid D, and now RCP and Sabatos took one at the end of September. Now RCP did one on January 10th, very recently. RCP, just did a bunch of new polls on January 10th. They all came out. I've been seeing them all over on Wikipedia. So I do think that this is our most accurate one, but obviously that does not mean that it is accurate at all. I think that Pritzker will win, but I do think it's going to be by a likely margin because he is unpopular. He's your typical Democrat of this time. That's what people are thinking right now, and mixed with President Biden's unpopularity, the Democrats will do worse in the state of Illinois, as they will be. Remember, Biden's unpopularity is going to hurt them in many, many states. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry, Virginia and New Jersey, were not filled in. That's just some Y maps, I guess. So Youngkin won in Virginia by 1.7%, I don't know, and then what's his name, Phil Murphy won in New Jersey by 3.2%. I want to say it's no, Youngkin won by 1.9%. Sorry, and I think Murphy won by 3.2% or something. All right, moving on. Democratic states. I see New York being a solid Democratic. I really think so. Let's see. New York. Here it is. Cuomo resigned, but Kathy Hochul, who's running for re-election, she's pretty popular. No one's really, I find it strange that a U.S. representative is challenging her. Thomas Susie, two, but U.S. representative is bigger. I find that very interesting. And they even list Hillary Clinton as a potential. But really, I see the establishment really controlling this election. And when you look at this polling, Hochul is at the top. Undecided is next, and then we have De Blasio. I don't know. Didn't De Blasio declare his... I don't know. Anyway, I thought De Blasio was running. De Blasio declined. Anyway, sorry, off topic. So, Hochul, I do see winning by more than 15%. I think New York would be safe for the Democratic Party. Moving on. Massachusetts and Rhode Island. I know Massachusetts because, let's just do Massachusetts first. So going to Massachusetts, Charlie Baker declined. He was the extremely popular, pretty liberal Republican governor of Massachusetts, which is pretty crazy to me. And then we have Jeff Deal, if that's how you pronounce his name. Jeff Deal running running in the Republican primary to run against whoever the Democrat may be, because we have two new candidates. Now, Jeff, we'll just call him, has been endorsed by Trump. So ultimately, that will back all Trumpian Republicans, which is enough to give Jeff Deal the nomination. So we already have a Trumpian Republican running against, and it doesn't even matter the Democrat. Therefore, the Democratic Party will win. A Trumpian Republican cannot. Charlie Baker and Donald Trump disagreed on many issues. In my 2022 governor's gubernatorial election night, I did Sonia Shang Diaz as the Democratic nominee. I mean, she does have a lot of endorsements, but I really do think that things could change. I mean, but it's gonna be. I mean, polls are showing that likely it's gonna be likely Democratic. But I mean, going to December 3rd, I believe that was before Charlie Baker declined. Maybe not though. Here, let's see. We can check potential decline. When did he decline? We probably won't be able to find it here, but sorry guys. So Charlie Baker. Alright, oh yeah. Alright, so December 1st, 2021. That's when this article was published. Charlie Baker declines. These polls are after he declined. These polls are 2 days after he declined. But we see as time progresses, I mean, Sabato's, I don't even think we should look at that because that totally goes against the rest of the polls. But I mean, RCP on January 10th says likely D. I think it's going to be more than likely D. It's still an extremely Democratic state, even though they have a Republican governor. Remember, the most likely Republican candidate is a Trumpian Republican. That already puts the Massachusetts Democrats with an edge. Alright, Rhode Island is next. New Hampshire. Here it is. So, Rhode Island, we have some candidates on the Democratic side. There's no incumbent running for re-election. Former CVS executive, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to base this off of polls. I mean, RCP said likely Democratic. I think it's going to be around there, if not lean. I mean, because we don't see a strong Democrat rising. Who are these people? We've never heard of them. If someone like Gina Raimondo ran, then it might be solid. Then I might change my little thingy. But right now, with no strong Democrat, I don't think that the Democrats will do very good. Maybe the former CVS executive, Helena Fauchels, might do pretty good, but I don't see it. I think Seth Moulton would do pretty good, but he doesn't seem to be on here. And then the Republicans, they don't have anyone either, though. Alan Fung has won in many elections in Rhode Island, local elections. But polls are showing that it's going to stay Democratic, so I do think that it would stay Democratic. I'm going to give it to the Democratic Party by a lean margin. I could see the state being pretty close. Connecticut, now I live in Connecticut, and this is going to be a swing state in 2022. This is going to be a very, very critical swing state. So, Governor Ned Lamont is running for re-election, so he's going to win the Democratic nomination. Now, just a few days ago, this guy named Bob Stefanowski, businessman from Madison, announced his candidacy. Now, Stefanowski ran against Lamont in 2018, and he almost won. And remember, 2018 was a blue wave year. Can you believe that? I think that Connecticut could have a Republican governor in 2022. However, most Connecticuters do approve of Ned Lamont. However, it is pretty narrow. There are a lot of people, especially, and I live in a Republican town, so I see it, a lot of people are annoyed with his COVID response. He's very liberal when it comes to COVID response, like many Democrats are across the country. And when we look at polls, solid Democratic. And then it goes likely Democratic. And now it's lean Democratic. As time progresses, it's getting more and more narrow. And Bob Stefanowski is like a Glenn Youngkin type. He doesn't have big ties with Trump. Trump hasn't endorsed him or anything. It's really hard to say. But ultimately, I do think that Ned Lamont being the incumbent governor gives him an edge. I think that Ned Lamont is going to carry the state by a tilt margin. This is going to be so narrow. All right, moving on to, let's go to Vermont. I mean, Phil Scott, you know, it all depends on whether or not he runs for another term. Because, look, no Republican has even announced his candidacy. This is like Massachusetts. Phil Scott is a pretty liberal Republican, not really aligned with Trump at all, right? And like Charlie Baker, he can run again in 2022, but it all hinges on whether or not he chooses to. But the most likely option, and polls are showing this too, that it's likely that Phil Murphy will run again, and that would give him victory automatically. He's just that popular, and it would be a solid Republican. Now, New Hampshire, we don't even have to go on the page. Chris Sununu's running for a second or third term? Fourth term. Sorry, fourth term. He's so popular, one of the most popular governors. Even Democrats like him. That's also going to be solid Republican. Going to Maine. I don't even know who's running in Maine, to be honest. Maine. Janet Mills. Oh, yeah, she's the incumbent running for re-election. Janet Mills is the incumbent. Paula Page, that's right, is running against her. I mean, Susan Collins endorsed it. LePage, Sununu endorsed it. Polls are showing that this is very much a battleground state. Very much a purple state. Because, remember, Janet Mills was elected, like Ned Lamont, like all these people, was elected in 2018 in a blue wave year. But now, with Biden unpopular, many of these Democrats are in fear of their re-election. But them being a fairly popular incumbent is usually very helpful. Maine is pretty tough. But if I had to choose, I would give it to the Democratic Party. I really would. I think it's going to be tilt margin. Larry Hogan cannot run again. I don't even know who's running in Maryland. But he can't run again. He's one like Phil Scott and Charlie Baker. He's our third neoliberal Republican, and that's how he won in the state of Maryland. But he cannot run again. Term limited, and the state will flip back into the solid Democratic column. Going to Pennsylvania, we have a candidate named Josh Shapiro. I'll get to him on the Democratic side, and then the Republican side is very split. Many candidates, but one, I forget his name, he leads in the polls like a lot. It's like weird because he was a state senator. So there's Josh Shapiro. I see him winning the nomination. Look at all of his endorsements. So many people endorsed him. Lieutenant governor. Then we have all these Republicans running. Now, if we go to polls, I expected Lou Barletta. In the beginning of the campaign, I expected Lou Barletta, saying that he's a U.S. representative. I expected him to win the nomination. But look at the polls. This guy, Scott Martin, look at the Wikipedia page picture they have for him, is up here. Oh, wait, or maybe that's undecided. Oh! That's undecided. Okay, sorry, guys. I'm sorry, this is weird. So Martin is down here. Alright, scratch whatever I was saying about a leading Republican. So this is a race for anyone besides Martin. And honestly, I see Lou Barletta winning the nomination, as I did before. I do not see Scott Martin. I'm sorry, I thought that said Scott Martin. I see Lou Barletta winning because he's a U.S. representative. I think he has the most experience, and I think that people will choose that. And I think that this will be a Republican state, because this is one of the very, very much battleground states, like many we saw. However, we don't have an incumbent. We don't have a fairly popular Democratic incumbent like Connecticut and Maine. They're not incumbent. So with Biden's unpopularity, I think the Republicans will take Pennsylvania. Mike DeWine is running for re-election in the state of Ohio. I see him carrying it by a likely margin. We're not going to see an issue here. South Carolina, it's not going to be anything special. the Republicans will win here. Henry McMaster is the incumbent. Joe Cunningham is running against him. It probably won't be solid. I'll make it likely, but yeah, it's staying Republican. Well, let's go to these other safe Republican states. Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama are not shifting. Oklahoma, it will stay. Oh wait, no, that's right. There's a competition in the state of Oklahoma. And look, here's my proof. Kevin Stitt is the incumbent, but we have no, it's not him. We have not Joy. Here it is, Joy Hoffmeister. She, the superintendent of public schools, used to be a Republican, and she just switched to the Democratic side. She said that she's changing parties, not views. Because she will be so powerful. She will win Republican votes because there are a lot of Republicans who aren't approving of Kevin Stitt, and Joy Hoffmeister is leading these people. And she has joined the Democratic Party, and she has declared that she is running in the This is not her, by the way. That she's running in the 2022 gubernatorial election. So I do think I think that she would be nominated just because Democrats think that she's a winner. I don't see it happening. I think that this state will stay not stay. I think it will be likely because Hoffmeister will win some more votes, but not really. Nebraska will be safe. South Dakota, Christie is running. I think that she only won by 3% in 2018, but that was a blue wave year. And with Biden unpopular, I really see South Dakota Republicans backing Noem. I think that she'll win by a solid margin, a major shift coming out of the state of South Dakota. Idaho and Wyoming will stay solidly Republican. Going to Arkansas, I'm sorry, not Arkansas. Let's save Alaska for later. Going down to Florida, I think that Ron DeSantis will win re-election by a likely margin. I don't even think it's going to be lean. I mean, where's Florida on here? Because, polling shows that, some polls show that it's going to be battleground, and I definitely think that the Democrats, have a small slot at winning, but Charlie Crist, I think that Charlie Crist will be nominated, even though Nikki Fried has narrowly risen in polls. I do think that Crist, with the establishment, will be able to win the nomination. But, polls show that's going to be likely R and lean R. And I don't really see Crist doing that good. I really don't. And the majority of polls show the same. Maybe it's lean. I'll give it lean. But Ron DeSantis is a very popular governor, and I don't see him losing re-election in the state of Florida. Moving on to Georgia. I'll leave it toss-up for now. Let's go to it, because the Republican primary is actually very important in this one, because we have the incumbent governor facing a fierce re-election from David Perdue. Now, look, so we have Brian Kemp, but Trump hates Brian Kemp for some odd reason. And so David Perdue, a U.S. Senator, or former U.S. Senator, runs against Brian Kemp. Now, Perdue immediately is endorsed by Trump, and that's all you need. I think with that Trump endorsement, even though Kemp is leading in polls, I think that Perdue will be, and look at that track, he's rising and rising and rising. I think that he will be able to rise up against Kemp. I think that Kemp will lose the nomination. I think that Perdue will win the nomination. Stacey Abrams will win the Democratic nomination. No surprise there. She's the only major candidate endorsed by Hillary Clinton, Sally Yates, Joe Ossoff, Kirsten Gillibrand, Eric Swalwell, all of these big names. And look at these polls, toss-up, battleground, toss-up. But going to David Perdue versus Stacey Abrams, in the latest poll, January 19th through 24th, they tie. January 27th today. It was taken 4 days ago by Quinnipiac University, which is in my state. Wow, look at that. How awesome. Anyway. But yeah, Georgia, I think it's going to be tilt Perdue. if Kemp is nominated, then I do think that Stacey Abrams would win. But I think that this will be tilt Kemp. If Biden is popular, I think Stacey Abrams will win by a tilt to lean margin. But with Biden unpopular still, I think that Georgia will be tilt Perdue. Going to Kansas, I think that's going to be tilt Republican. I do think that Laura Kelly, even though she is popular, I think that Laura Kelly will narrowly lose re-election just because of Biden's unpopularity. This is a hugely battleground state, and Laura Kelly may as well win. She will be nominated by the Democratic Party. Plus, in 2018, she won by, 5%? Because the Republican was so radical. He was so against immigration. He was just so weirdly conservative that even a conservative state like Kansas kind of backed away from him. So in 2022, they will not nominate him again because he is a loser candidate, and I do think that it will shift back into the Republican column. Going up to Oregon, Tina, what's her name? Tina, oh my god. Can't believe I'm looking at this. I tried to memorize it. What is it? Tina Kotek. I think that Tina Kotek will win the Democratic primary. She's the leading candidate here. And really, out of these Republicans, I don't see any huge one. Trump has backed none of them. And really, I think that, and polls show this, likely solid lean. I think that Tina Kotek will win. I really do. I think it's going to be by a lean margin just because of Biden's unpopularity. Make that likely margin. But just because there's no strong Republican, I don't see it. No Republican holds any of the big positions or anything like that. Alaska will be likely. I don't think we're going to see a shift here. Iowa, with Biden's unpopularity, I think will be likely. And the Republicans have taken 26 seats, already exceeding the majority. Going down to Texas, I do think that, first, one second. Going to Texas. So, the most likely contest will be Beto versus Abbott. And I'm going to make a video about this. I really think so. This new poll showing Allen West leading Greg Abbott. Now, Allen West is the former Texas GOP chair. Allen West, very conservative, more popular than Abbott, I believe, and honestly, the Republicans should go with West. I think that West would be more popular than Abbott. I think he would do better against O'Rourke. But look at this. That's amazing to me. I mean, 33 to 38, and then 33 to 35. He narrowly takes the lead over Abbott, and that's amazing. Here's Beto in the Democratic primary column. Kirsten Gillibrand has endorsed him. That already gives him victory. Just kidding. Anyway, but I do think that Abbott will be able to win the Republican nomination because he has that powerful Republican establishment in Texas behind him, and ultimately, I do think that that'd be enough. But I think it's going to be lean. This is going to be a very narrow race. It's as simple as that. It will be. Beto is a strong candidate. It's going to be very narrow. Jared Polis is extremely popular as a governor. He's a Democrat, and I think he'll be able to win re-election pretty easily. Michelle Lujan, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Michelle Lujan Grisham of New Mexico. I mean, she won with 57.2% of the vote in 2018. I mean, look at this guy. This is the people running against her on the Republican side. Honestly, this guy, whoa, that's a different person. Anyway, but I mean, polls are showing that she will win. Time can only tell, really, with Biden's unpopularity, but I do think that she would be able to carry the state of New Mexico by a lean margin. Now, Arizona is very much a battleground state, but I do think it would be lean Republican because Doug Ducey has really left a good footprint, really, with the Arizona GOP. He was so popular. He's term limited in 2022. He can't run again, but he's so popular. He made it solid when he ran in 2018, a blue wave year, and really that will give Republicans victory, especially with Biden being unpopular. Nevada's pretty hard, but I think it's going to stay in the Democratic column because we do have a popular incumbent, or a fairly popular incumbent, I should say. Oh God, I'm getting tired of this. Where is it? Nevada. Steve Sisolak. Sorry. We have a pretty popular incumbent, Steve Sisolak. And like many, we do have a pretty strong, it looks like, opponent on the Republican side. That's Joe Lombardo, the sheriff of the whatever county Las Vegas is in. And I think that you'd be pretty popular on the Republican side. He would really turn out Republicans. But, he's a sheriff. You know what that means. He's going to receive, mostly outside of his state, he's going to receive a lot of backlash, Black Lives Matter and all that. People don't want a sheriff governor right now. But Sisolak is popular. And I think that people will turn out for him. Moving on to Minnesota. I know nothing about the 2022 Minnesota. Whatever it's called. Gubernatorial election. Tim Walz is running for re-election. Walz. It doesn't. Who's that guy? It doesn't look like we have a strong Republican. Two state senators and a former state senator. I don't see it happening for the Republicans in the state of Minnesota. I think it's going to stay lean Dem. Let's see polls. Most recent polls are showing lean Dem. Wisconsin. We have Tony Evers running for re-election. He is a Democratic incumbent. He's elected in 2019. Sorry. He was elected in 2018. Sworn in 2019. I would give it to the Republicans, but it does not look like we have a strong Republican. Who is this? Rebecca Kleefish? Still though, a lot of people just vote for the Republicans. A lot of people will vote for the Republicans, even if they don't know who it is, even if they're not. Like Glenn Youngkin, he was an unknown businessman, yet he won because he was the Republican nominee. I don't know, the incumbent doesn't seem to be extremely popular or unpopular. I think it's going to be tilt Republican. Yeah. But moving on, our last state, thank God, because I want this video to end so bad. Michigan, I'm giving it to Gretchen Whitmer. Now, I give it to Gretchen Whitmer on the election night by a tilt margin, and people kind of hated it for some reason. But Whitmer is a popular governor. She is very, very popular. And I think the strongest Republican is James Craig. He's leading in polls of the Republican side. He's led in the two polls by insane margins, absolutely insane. But when we go to James Craig's history, he ran for Senate twice and lost both times. And he's an African American, and he can't seem to connect with the Michigan African American community because of how conservative he is. And ultimately, him being African American won't add much to it. Gretchen Whitmer will turn out African Americans. Doesn't matter if it's a Senate election or a gubernatorial election. James Craig will have a tough time turning out African Americans. Gretchen Whitmer will not. She's very, very popular. She's someone who many Democrats respect and many independents respect. I saw a YouTube comment that said, I'm a conservative Republican Trump voter, but I love Gretchen Whitmer. She's done so much for the state of Michigan, and I will be voting for her in 2022, and that's exactly right. So, this video has ended. Finally, the Republicans have 29 electoral votes to the Democrats 21. Please subscribe because this took so long and I don't want it to be a waste of time. So yeah, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.